G'day viewers, Ivan here from Peak Off-Road Equipment, Wetherill Park, Sydney, Australia. This video is a little bit different, or it's not really, it's a series of workshop videos that we have. For those people who are wanting to buy a second-hand tent, or have a tent now getting on to 7 years plus old, like this one here, I'm going to show you how to properly, let's start again really quickly. If you got condensation and water leaks in your tent and you go, God, it's the Bush Company's fault or Alu-Cab's fault or Boss or Motop or King's or whatever random tent, apart from the one like the Wilderness, one that doesn't even have a floor in it, all the rest, this test applies. So this test is to see how watertight your tent is. Now remember, your tent is a bucket with a lid. Bucket, lid, right? Very important to understand, it's not a super complex thing. Condensation is a problem. Problem in all tents. Apparently we breathe and we breathe out a little bit of water, and difference in temperature, water condensates to the side of your tent. Anything in metal exposed will condensate there as well. So we're going to go show you how to properly do this. Also to other professionals who actually sell these tents and then not knowing they don't do it every day like we do, and we're in direct correspondence with the manufacturers. So in this case, Alu-Cab, Bush Company, once upon a time Camp King, and right now with Boss Aluminium as well, which are all the top brands in the world at the moment. People can say, oh, this particular brand of tent is much better, but they only make 4 of them. Alu-Cab is over 10,000. Bush Company is getting close. Boss Aluminium is a growing tent, so on and so forth. But in all, the tents themselves are all the same. Bucket, lid. Now, for those guys who are having warranty issues and they're jet blasting the tent and doing all that, that's not the way to do it. That's not the way to see it done. It's just the wrong approach. You'll never be able to find, and I'll show you how fine. Also, with this tent here, it's an old tent, I have introduced these leaks in this tent. Just to tell you this straight out the bat, but we are seeing more and more of these same issues. So this is going to be a little bit long, detailed, some parts also technical. So this is not for you, it's not for you. But I'm pretty certain the guys who fit the tents and sell these tents around the world would be very interested in how this process works. All right, the tools we need is pretty simple. Most workshops, most garages, many people at home also have this. It's basically air gun, just pumps out air. Washer bottle hose or aquarium hose plugged into your air supply. Now, if you're a home guy and you don't have these tools nor an air compressor, go give your mechanic who serves your car a case of beer and a little bit of time and say, I've got this hose, can you hook it to your thing and put it in my tent and I'll show you the squirter bottle. The other thing we'll need is, I'll just put my short lookers down because I'm going to need them. Something that squirts some bubbles. This is dishwashing liquid, nothing too excited. You can also steal this stuff from your kids from the bubble making machine, that always helps too. And a sponge, which I'll show you how it all works. All right, let's get started. Say hello to Dave. Dave?
Good.
Dave's here filming again for us, and Artie's still busy as busy as he can be. So let's get started. I've closed this tent. There's no really interest inside the tent right up till the end to show you the other problems. So let's get started. Come and have a look, Dave. All right, Dave. Here we go. So what we've got here is standard pretty much locks here. If you stand from here, you're probably better angle. Now the compressor's going to be going during this part of it. Because we do this a lot, right, I've made up a clippy scenario that fits on most of the tents or gets hooked to something. So basically that. We then open the tent. Oh, and Dave, you should just see here, this part here, we just put this in here and we close the tent. Right. I have an auto holder, which is a, down here, Dave, down here is a circlip, and we hold this in. Let me get my short lookers on. There they are. I can't see a bloody thing. Right, so basically we've got the setup now, and what we're going to do, now the compressor's going to be running the whole time here. So what we're going to do is just going to hook this in together, and you'll actually see the tent bulge. Now the compressor's going to be running the whole time. At the moment it is filling the tent. Right, so what we come over here, I don't know if you're going to hear me or not, but there's a hinge here, and then the latches are on the other end. Okay, so this is not a pressure vessel, as the thing says. Air is going to escape from the middle here, or somewhere along this dust seal. Just stay there, Dave, and I'll show you how this works. So we're getting our it helps if I latch it. Right. Sorry, I didn't latch the tent back up when I closed it. But as you can see here, air is escaping through here. Right? As the sign says, this is normal. This is not your leaking problem. Now, down up here, Dave, a little close up here, we're going to soak the tent up. And we're not putting a lot on there, but there should be a little bubble, and we'll get back to that bubble. There it is there. Right? So that there will become a problem. Now stay there, Dave. I'm going to go the other side. Right, if you look at these hinges now, right here on the hinge here, you can see the bubbles are starting to come up. This also is not your leak. So over here, in this part here, this is where the tent actually deforms. If we introduce a little bit here, you'll see here. Right? Now I've purposely dug this out to make that happen. So again, have a look at this. We didn't introduce a lot of water to it, but now for it to leak, a tent to leak, especially on the lid is where the obvious case is going to be. For a tent to leak, the water must sit. So the leak that you have here, this small air leak that I have here at the hinge, that's not a leak. The hinge could be done up a little bit more, but not really. It's not going to make any difference in life, even at 160 kilometres an hour. If you see the whack over here, this one here, right, now that will develop a problem. All right, we'll continue with this. All these hinges look good. We'll do this seam here. I'll come back to the other side. Again, this leak here, this here is not a problem, right? This is the tent bending between the two hinges because this is full of air right now. On the older tents, right, this rail here, and I'll show you when we open the tent up, this is the most important part. What happens after 7 years of having roof racks on there, and some people, I don't know what they're thinking, put a spare tyre on their $7,000 or $6,000 tent, and over time the little 10mm bolts stretch, so they'll need to tighten. Also, after about 7 years, the sealing does get affected, and when the compressor is off, I will show you how to fix that all up. Anyway, we're going to continue on with the air bottle. These hinges, you spray everywhere, and you're looking for bubbles. Again, this is not your leak. Air's got to come somewhere. It's not a pressure vessel. Right, this is not a problem. This is not your problem. Now here, I have loosened these up. Right, I've loosened these hinges up. This also is not your problem. For water to get inside your tent, it has to leak that way. Again, we continue on just doing the same thing right round the tent, and I'll just flow it around. Now under the tent, if you want to come here, Dave, I want to show you this angle here. Now, right here, there's air coming out from inside there and coming out of this channel somewhere under the tent. Right, none of that is really your issue. Again, for water to get into your tent, it must sit. So the biggest culprit's going to be the lid. Now this happens, let me continue on and turn the compressor on. All right, so what we've got here, I'll get my sponge, right up here. Right here, you can actually see it, but it's only very minor. There is a small, maybe if I push the tent, it sealed itself over time, but there is a small minor, let me just turn this off. Excuse me. Right, that will catch up to itself in a second. So with welds, like this weld is a perfect example, right? So the weld here, as you can see, has been welded from left to right. So this guy's gone this way and welded up. So when he's doing this with a weld, if he's busy and doing it quick, if he pulls too quickly away, he'll create a little hole. Now, seam sealer normally fixes that on the inside, and most of the tent manufacturers use that. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to wait for this compressor to turn off. Right, thank God for that. Now you can hear the echoes in the workshop. All right, so going back to this weld here, when they're doing the welding, again, sorry I'm repeating myself, but they're welding away, and they go too quick and they let a little puddle weld. So normally the tent guys put seam sealer. We have an Alu-Cab tent here on show like this, because this one's due for a rebuild and a reseal. If you go on the other side, I'm going to show you, Dave. Right? So as you can see, there's a big puddle of water in here. Now, the puddle of water is what is going to leak. If you look down here, it's going to leak right there. So we're going to just kind of clean this up. Right? Now remember, I did introduce this. Dave, if you can get a close-up of this. So I did scrape this out with a screwdriver to introduce a leak, and we will fix this up. So if you want to fix these things up yourself, it's a very simple process. I've started it here. If you have a look here, Dave, I've started here. Now all you need to do is wire wheel. Right. Now, as you've seen that's really super simple. You can go a little bit more on either side, then you tape on both sides and you put in this stuff. Right? This is stuff that this is what we glue the troopies down. It's also UV stabilised, and it's also the stuff they use to put skyscraper windows in. Now, this basically shows you, in the quickest form I can, how to get the tent up and pressurised. And the tents of the calibre like Bush Company and Alu-Cab, they have a similar system. Not the same, similar. Definitely not the same. But they do have a sealing, not an issue, but a sealing. They seal the tent lid like this. Same with Alu-Cab. Places like Camp King and Boss Aluminium, for instance, say, two very good brands, both Australian brands, top tier brand tents like these. They're a fully welded frame. So they'll only ever get the issue with the weld not finishing properly or not seam sealed properly underneath. Now, in saying that, they all have top rails, and this is where the intrusion comes in for the water. So if I'll go on your side, Dave. So if you can see here, this is a top rail, right here, this is your top rail. And it is bolted here, 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 here. Now in the Boss aluminium tents, the Camp King tents, and other tents with rails that are fully welded lids, they also have holes to bolt in. They may do sealed rivets, they may not. They may have holes that go all the way through and they seal it a different way. Same. It's just another entry point because the lid is beautiful and this might be an issue. All right, so in this case here, what we have is we've got some stuff on this tent, which is all fine. Now, if you have a look here, Dave, I'm just going to pull this out. Basically, I forgot when I first started, I forgot to clip the tent up so I didn't pressurise. So we open this up. And now you've lasted this long. This is what we're looking at. Let me untangle it. Right? Fish tank hose. Something just to hold it against the seal. Anyway, leave that to be. Okay, so now we come up, again, you'll see here, we've been squirting stuff out. Now, if you have a look at this part here, Dave, this is a very good example. If you see the wet line, right like this. Okay, this is what you should be seeing with your tent. If you've left the canvas out, just have a look at this. If you've left the canvas out, you'll see a mark like this on your tent. And this stuff will let water in. There is quite a big lip here on all the tents. They all have the same thing, anything up to 40 mil high. For water to go uphill, up and down is very difficult. All right, I'm just going to grab this light here. Stay there, Dave, just there. This is a little bit of dark issue. So, yeah, sorry, come on this side. Right, if you can see right here, these are these bolts. Now this one, it did not leak, right? And inside the tent, it's not leaking at all. Let me just put this light back. Right, so we're gonna try and do this all pretty much in one take. Again, now, the particular reason why we went I had the Alu-Cab tent here is most of the other tents who have external gas struts, like the gas struts are not internal to the lid, they're external, so a tree can come and knock them out. I've never seen that happen, but that's kind of the theory. When they've got external ones, you don't have this issue because they're just a fully welded bucket, which is the base of the tent. In the Alu-Cab's version here, right here, it has two here, and also these ones here, which hold the spring poles up. So I'm just going to put that spring pole in. Now I'll show you this, Dave, if you watch this real quickly. Right, watch the movement here, Dave. Just watch the movement, and you can see every time, I don't know, you can see that movement, right? And I'm making a lot of pressure on that, right? Okay, that movement right here, this movement here over a long period of time. Now my tent on old Angry, the GQ, and 001 Alu-Cab, this is bent like a banana, right? And I'll get one photo and we're going to insert that right now, you'll see. And it does not leak. But that's how badly they can bend over time. You need to straighten your tent up. So the only places you can't pressure test is here and here because it's on the other side of the lid. So a very good visual inspection is needed. Those two I've never seen leak anyway. Just that's how it happens. The only other way the tents can leak is if it's on a very big angle and water gets trapped in the front corner and gets over 40 mil. So could you imagine, just if you stand here, Dave, imagine if this is down like this and water builds up in this corner, floods this area and it comes over. I've seen that happen. Guys are parked at home, driveway is like Mount Everest, in more than 45 degrees. And over a period of time, the car stays there. Water is meant to get in between here and there. On all the tents, this is only a dust seal. This is only the initial first barrier for water not getting in your tent. The second barrier is this high point here, all right? The wicking of them is not an issue. In the earlier days, this sort of material did wick or osmose into the tent. That's no longer an issue anyway. So that part there. What else can I say for the testing part? I think that it is it. Right, I think that's where we're kind of about. I haven't got any other things to say. No, I don't. So let's go back and just go through exactly how to test it. So you've got a customer, or you are the customer, and you go, my tent is leaking. Or they go, the tent is leaking. Look, it's got 65 inches of water in there. It's like a big pool. It's unbelievable. And now it's all mouldy. It's terrible. And you go, that's bad. The guys in South Africa or in Mexico, Victoria, they must have done something wrong. That's not always the case. There is that possibility of the guys not packing the tent away correctly, or there might be some other circumstance. But these are also very rare. Like, these are not the normal thing. Yes, they are built by humans. Humans make errors. Fine. It's up to you to find out what that error is. The only way to do it is to pressurise the tent. That's it. It's a black and white. It either leaks or it don't leak. If it leaks from this bolt here, right, or this bolt here, like one bubble, because we're running the compressor at max rate just to keep the tent pumped up, that is not your leak. Come on guys, that doesn't work like that. The leak at the top, which I showed you introduced, where water is actually pooling and sitting, and over a period of time, a night's rain, it may drop 200 mils in there. Now 200 mils, hot, cold, condensate, not condensate, vaporise, back to not vaporising. Open your tent, oh my God, look at it. It's growing fungus. Hey, that's what happens, right? So when you're checking the tent, pressurise the tent, spend your time. It's only bubbles, an air blower, just put it all through there, and then you'll find out exactly where it is leaking and if it is leaking. If it is not leaking, you take a video phone call. Spray it all up, video it up, show the customer. If you're the customer and you can do this, or give a case of beer to your mechanic to pressurise your tent, take a video, show it to the guy and say, yes, it is leaking. Look, just like this one was, which I introduced these leaks. Remember that. This tent didn't leak at the beginning. So then you can show your supplier, hey, my tent is leaking and this is where it's leaking. Otherwise, if you might have to drive an hour and a half here for me to give you a 1 minute test. I don't even open the lid. I go, yes, there's water inside. You told me it is. I don't need to see that. I lift the lid, I strike the hose in, clamp the lids up, clamp the clamps up, pressurise it, get my squirter bottle, walk around. And I go, your tent's not leaking, mate. Your tent ain't leaking. You go, yes, it is full of water. Well, how's that possible? So this is a 100% determined test. Remember the guys for the outside gas struts, they don't have any intrusions on this side of the seal, so you must do visual inspections here, and that could be a problem. Again, very, very rare. All right, let's finish up and we'll go from there. All right, that was a lot to get through, guys. I think I've kind of stressed enough on the process to really reiterate and make it very simple. Pressurise that tent. Jet washing for 500 metres away, try and put water into the tent will do you no good at all. That really means nothing in the scheme of things. They go, I've had the sprinkle on it for 4 days. Well, what does that do? Okay, if you have any questions, put it in the comments down below. With this one, I will be looking at this one for the comments. I don't usually go too much into the comments, but I will answer some questions there in the next month or so while the video is still new. And if not, you can drop me an email or ask me to do another video on, if I get enough questions for this, we can do another video and make it a little bit better again. We'll also make a short on this one as well. So we'll make a short and just do the procedure of showing it. All right? Wow, guys, thank you very much. Thank you, Dave, and hooroo, and we'll see you out there. See you guys. That's it. It's 40 degrees here, eh? Unbelievable. Let's have a beer.